Hey everyone, welcome to Logan's Mosh Pit. Glad to have you here. So today we're going to continue the Breaking Down Song series that I started last week. Now the whole point of the Breaking Down Song series is to take a closer look at some of my favorite songs from all kinds of different bands. Because I think when we do that, we gain a deeper appreciation for the music we listen to. So last week, if you remember, we covered Alice in Chains. So I figured we might as well stick with the grunge theme and do Nirvana this time. There's not really a specific order I want to do these videos in, just whatever I feel like doing that week. So next week we might do something different besides grunge. I haven't decided yet. If there's a specific band you guys want me to cover, then leave a comment down below. If I like the band and I'm pretty familiar with their discography, I'll probably do it. So without further ado, let's get started. First, I want to tell you guys what my favorite song was from each Nirvana album so you guys can get an idea of how I narrowed down my choices. Got my notes here. From the Bleach album, I chose the song Shifting. From Nevermind, On a Plane. And In Utero, Dumb. Now, since Nirvana obviously has a really small discography, only 3 studio albums, you would think it would be easy to choose a favorite song, but actually it was really hard to narrow down this list, especially on the last 2 albums. They have so many hits from those 2 albums that my favorite could change daily, depending on when you ask me. So I went back and forth for a long time trying to decide, but eventually I settled on a Plane. If you ask me tomorrow, my favorite Nirvana song might be different, but today we're going to cover On a Plane. Now first I want to give you guys some background on the Nevermind album. I'm sure most of this information is familiar to you guys, but it came out in 1991. It was the big breakthrough album for Nirvana. It became a huge success. It sold over 30 million copies worldwide and basically turned Nirvana into a household name. People that weren't familiar with Nirvana before suddenly realized that, hey, this band is a big deal. It basically turned them into a household name, but Kurt really struggled to deal with living up to that expectation, that pressure that was suddenly put on his shoulders. You can hear about it during interviews that he gave, how fed up he was with the success that Nirvana was suddenly launched into. And I think it reflects in his songs as well. Of course, you had the iconic cover art from the Nevermind album of the baby swimming toward the dollar bill. I'm sure you guys have all seen that before. To me, that represents how corruption follows us from the point where we're born all the way through our lives. And some of the singles from this album were, of course, Smells Like Teen Spirit, the main one. It became an overnight sensation. It was played everywhere, constantly. But interestingly, they hardly ever played Smells Like Teen Spirit live, and the band became tired of this song pretty quickly. And this song was actually inspired by a deodorant brand, Teen Spirit, because a friend made a comment to Kurt about how he smelled like Teen Spirit. Kurt was unaware of what it meant at the time. But when people think of grunge, this song usually automatically comes to mind right away. Then you had Come As You Are, and some heavier tracks like Lithium and In Bloom, where Kurt screams full blast. He really lets loose on his vocals. And this album would forever be linked to Nirvana and grunge itself. And you also had Dave Grohl stepping in for the first time as the band's new drummer, so that was great to see. Now we're going to get to the lyrics themselves. Before we start, I just wanted to tell you guys that keep in mind this is just my interpretation of the lyrics. It's just my opinion, and my opinion might be different from yours, and that's fine. We all look at these songs differently. There's no right or wrong answer. So let's try to respect each other's opinions. So I'm going to read each section and then we'll talk about it. First verse says, I'll start this off without any words. I got so high, I scratched till I bled. I love myself better than you. I know it's wrong, so what should I do? Now here, I think it's talking about blurring the line between what is and isn't real. It goes over wanting to escape the circumstances that are going on in your life. And then you have that expectation to please other people, and it makes someone feel like taking care of themselves isn't really a good idea. The next section says, the finest day that I've ever had was when I learned to cry on command. I love myself better than you. I know it's wrong, so what should I do? Now, to me, this section is all about submitting to authority, and it places an emphasis on allowing other people to decide what's best for you instead of leaving that up to you. And I think as a result, your emotions become less familiar to you. Now we move on to the chorus, which is pretty short. I'm on a plane. I can't complain. I'm on a plane. Even though that was a really short section, I think you can still get some useful information out of it. When I read this chorus, I immediately thought of a plane, which is a flat, empty type of landscape. There's not much going on. Kind of a boring environment. But either way, you still feel content where you are because a person is used to dealing with that environment every day. It becomes second nature to them. It's all they've ever known. So what's the point of changing that? Now we move on to the next section in verse 2. It says, my mother died every night. It's safe to say, don't quote me on that. I love myself better than you. I know it's wrong, so what should I do? And I think this part represents the feeling that no one around you is actually genuine. You feel like you're being taken advantage of by everyone while they're just pretending that they care about you. So that's what I got out of it. The next part says, the black sheep got blackmailed again. Forgot to put on the zip code. I love myself better than you. I know it's wrong, so what should I do? Now, I think this section is reflecting how norms become so important in our society. They dominate our way of thinking. They become so ingrained in our society that we don't understand what impact our words and actions can have on other people. Now we get to the bridge, which says, somewhere I have heard this before. In a dream, my memory is stored. As a defense, I'm neutered and spayed. What the hell am I trying to say? So I think the bridge is really getting to the point where you're being held back from your full potential, or you're being forced to fit in with standards that you're not completely comfortable with, and to an extent where you don't know who you are anymore. The person in the mirror seems foreign. You don't recognize them. your identity becomes tainted. So the next part says, "It is now time to make it unclear, to write off lines that don't make sense. I love myself better than you. I know it's wrong, so what should I do?" Now, I think the first part of verse 3 is talking about breaking away from that fake identity that you have, that you try to put out there in the world, and you finally get the courage to show the world your true self. You stop caring about what they think. You just want to be who you really are. Now the next part of verse 3 says, "In one more special message to go, and then I'm done and I can go home. I love myself better than you. I know it's wrong, so what should I do?" Here, I think it represents where you can only let down your walls at home or when you're alone. You can't do that in public. You have to maintain this image that everyone expects of you. So when you finally get home by yourself, you feel more comfortable. You feel a sense of relief that you don't have to put on that mask anymore. And then we get back to the chorus again to end the song. So now let's go over the mood of the song. What type of mood does it give you when you listen to it? Now to me, when I heard this song on a plane, I felt some really infectious energy. And it's one of those songs where you can't help singing along with, especially in the chorus. It moves at a very fast pace. It's only about 3.5 minutes long, but it goes by really fast. And at the end you're wondering, oh, is that it? Because it feels like it went by super fast. I mean, so some of the themes that stood out to me in this song are having an alter ego, where you act differently depending on where you are. Like I said earlier, when you're in public versus when you're at home, you feel the pressure to be someone else. Then you have confusion over your identity. Also being judged for being different or not conforming to what society wants. And then finally, like I've been driving home the entire video, the pressure to maintain your image, which Kurt definitely faced. Now the most memorable line from the song, the one that I think had the most impact, you probably already know what it is. It was repeated constantly throughout the song. "I love myself better than you." It was repeated so much that they really emphasized that idea about putting yourself first instead of what everyone else expects from you. Now let's go over the strengths and weaknesses of the song. Some strengths that stood out to me are the lesson of the song, what the song wants you to understand after you listen to it, which is a pretty basic message. You know, it's okay to be you. You shouldn't try to please other people. You should just be happy with the person you are, not try to change for anyone else, which is great. I think more people need to hear that. And the catchiness of the song is another highlight. And of course the simplicity. I think Nirvana was known for using simple riffs and simple lyrics, but it worked for them. And I think when they used that, it really connected with fans. They were trying to be more transparent. Now, no song is perfect, so there obviously has to be a weakness to this song. This isn't a huge deal, but the only weakness I found after I listened to the song was that it can get pretty repetitive at times, but I mean, come on, this is Nirvana. They weren't known for being overly complex. They kept things simple, straight to the point, so it doesn't take away anything from the song, honestly. You'll still love it. And finally, on a scale of 1 to 10, how replayable is this song? How often are you gonna want to come back to this song and hear it? Well, I've heard this song hundreds of times, and I can tell you, I never get tired of it. It still makes me feel happy when I listen to it. I still enjoy the song, so I would give it 9 out of 10. I think if you're a Nirvana fan that you'll enjoy this song. I think it has a lot to offer. So that does it for today's video, guys. That's all I have for you. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support. Like I said earlier, if there's someone specific you want me to cover, leave a comment down below. I'll also leave a link in the description to the song On a Plane if you guys want to listen to it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you next time. Until then, rock on.